As we welcome new members into our fold today, I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about Unitarian Universalism, our history, and our continual transformation as a tradition. And today might feel a little bit more like a lesson than a sermon, but there is still good news in the message. And that is the job of the preacher, to distill out the good news of the day while keeping our fingers on the pulse and our ears out. And the good news is that joining this church, this faith tradition, is a smart and good choice. We are part of a living tradition that adapts and moves as new information becomes available. And we are more than just part of a progressive movement. Sometimes it may feel like, this is the place, like I found it. You all are just what I need. I found the right place. We're right. I found the right people. But we have to be so much more than right. We have to be loving, caring within ourselves, within our relationships, with each other, our neighbors, and the world, and that is no small ask. And this is really the intersection of Unitarianism and Universalism, the meaning of critical thinking and incredible love. Unitarians and Universalists joined forces in 1961. This is the same year that USAID was founded. It's the same year of the freedom rides, activists during the civil rights movements busing with each other to protest segregation. It was also the same year that the Peace Corps was founded. It was a time also for the flourishing of humanism. Darwin's discoveries and theories surrounding evolution in the late 19th century began a crumbling of traditional thinking and practice around religious life. Creationism rose as a concept that had not previously been needed or of much concern to most regular Joes, Pats, and Janes. In 1925, a teacher in Tennessee was brought to trial for teaching evolution in his classroom in the famous Scopes monkey trial. And this was a pivotal turning point for Americans experiencing tensions with their faith and with emerging information from exploration through science. The world wars had devastated so much and made clear to people across the globe how connected we are. There was a rise in existentialism in literary movements after the wars, with thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, and Samuel Beckett, writing pieces that criticized bad faith. Matters of faith entered the world of intellectual debate like never before. And Unitarians and Universalists were there for it. Up until 1961, when the two traditions merged, Unitarians and Universalists had been operating as independent, Christian, Protestant, congregational traditions for hundreds of years in the United States, and even longer as traditions originating in Europe. Today, 65 years since the merger, the American faith landscape has continued to change. Humanism took the main stage in our congregations, moving away from our Christian origins and into a culture of rejection of all things religious. Unitarian Universalists have been jokingly referred to as the people who have no faith, or where you can believe whatever you want. We as a tradition have been actively working against the pitfalls of traditional religion that tells people what to believe, that seeks to control and dominate, particularly women, people of color, queer people, and poor people. Pitfalls of traditional religion that includes the quelling of questions and debate. But in a way that has, in my observation, not been particularly strengthening to Unitarian Universalism as a religious movement. For that is what we are. Instead, we've kept religion at an arm's length, not claiming it for ourselves, while at the same time attending worship services on Sunday mornings, educating ourselves and our children in morals and ethics and religious stories, cultivating communities of care where we tend to each other during times of grief and celebrate each other's joys, working for justice in our neighborhoods and in our communities. We are a religious movement that rejects religion while we are actively practicing it. I'm going to say it again because as I wrote it, I was laughing. We are a religious movement that rejects religion while we are actively practicing it. Today, we are also at an incredible juncture in history. Capitalism is reaching peak terribleness, keeping the poor poor and permitting the rich even more and more wealth, stratifying us. Technologies have advanced to the point where the smallness of our world is that much more apparent. Our siblings on the other side of the globe are an easy video call or an email away. AI has enabled incredible advancements, and that keeps coming, including, I just heard recently about a translator mask that a mom in China was wearing so that she could speak in real time, and the translator mask would translate her words into another language. That's how she was teaching her children to be bilingual. COVID-19 was a global pandemic, which showed us just how connected we are and just how small this world really is. The world just keeps getting smaller the more and more we know. The U.S. has devolved from a world power that aims to strengthen democracy into yet another stage for greedy and power-hungry people to be flippant and careless with important infrastructures, alliances, and livelihoods. Our life-giving Earth is in a climate crisis, and real-life environmental changes are here, and more are coming. Humans are connected and more aware of ourselves as a global community like never before. And we as a human family have also arrived at a time of great theological opportunity and shift. 2 years ago, I was in Japan on scholarship. 2 years ago today, like literally I was there right now, to stay at and learn and train at the Tsubaki Grand Shrine, one of the largest Shinto shrines in the country, and in fact the world. While learning about Shinto, I remember reading about a Guji. A Guji is what they call their head priests, who believed it had been the influence of Christianity in Japan that had led to the incredible rise of suicides there. He reasoned that Christianity is a religion focused more on the self, and Japanese culture and Shinto, which is traditional Japanese religion, is based more on community. And that the tension between these causes a loss of connection so strong that people do not feel belonging and experience the isolation and depression that may lead to suicide. I was so intrigued by this assertion, I find myself thinking about it a lot. Christianity is not particularly about the self, but American culture sure has been. And capitalism sure has been. And Unitarian Universalism sure has been. Buddhism is more about the self than Christianity, and it came to Japan via Korea in the 6th century. I think the Guji hit something important here, though, that we in different locations and through the interactions of different traditions, cultures, and religions have felt the incredible tensions between communion and independence, community and the individual. Practices within our Unitarian Universalist tradition have been focused largely on the individual, on our own sacred journeys and our right to reason and decide for ourselves our understanding of the world and our places in it. While this is a beautiful thing, it has also been a detriment to our growth and to our hopes of having a broad impact with our free and active faith. We are, however, paying attention, and we are evolving. One aspect of our UU tradition that I only learned about in recent years is that because we are a progressive tradition, the way we define ourselves is baked into our polity to be reviewed and voted on every 15 years. Article 2 of the bylaws of the UUA is a documentational space which houses this definition. Did you all know that we change how we define ourselves every 15 years, or that we're supposed to? Our GA wonk does, yeah. I didn't know this for a long time. So I'd like our first slide to get put up there. For years, Article 2 contained the language of our 7 principles. And we'll get that slide up there. And these slides that I have today, this is our 7 principles, but done in an artistic way. They've been redone and reworked for multitudes of different artistic expressions. And this one actually includes all 8 principles. Beloved community made its way into our language through the acceptance of the 8th principle, which this congregation never did the work to adopt that 8th principle. But congregations worked individually to adopt that 8th principle. And that 8th principle is work to dismantle racism and build a diverse, beloved community. That's the 8th principle. In 2024, though, at General Assembly, and after a lot of work from a study commission, UUs voted to accept a new language and framework for Article 2. And we'll get that next slide. And this is another artistic representation. And now we're focused in values and covenants. Justice, these are our values. Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, generosity, and all centered around love. In section C 2.2, Values and Covenant, quote from the bylaws, as Unitarian Universalists, we covenant congregation to congregation and through our association to support and assist one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritages of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love is a power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. For bylaw language, I think that's pretty good. This change was a big deal. We loved the 7 principles. We loved them so much as a tradition, Unitarian Universalists, that we kept them for over 40 years. We didn't make the change every 15 years or decide to vote on a change. We loved them. And they're still meaningful and powerful and hold a lot of value. What the covenants and values have done is open us up in a way in which we can meet this new landscape in which we find ourselves, where that world is a little bit smaller, that landscape full of global tensions and opportunities. Religion has been a human response to the universally felt desire for understanding, meaning, grieving, and human responses are often messy and flawed. Religion has gotten a lot wrong, more than enough for us to distance ourselves from it. But we need to claim our spiritual practice of living our shared values outwardly, redefining religion, not expecting perfection, for we are also messy and flawed, but aiming for embodying an ethical framework for the practice of our faith. Unitarian Universalism is continually evolving, and it is the goal of this progressive tradition to be riding these waves of tension with flexibility, adapting to new learning and understanding rooted in a loving posture that seeks always to explore paths forward, paths that are informed by the past and present, open to findings from multiple sources, and hopeful that these multitudes of pathways may lead us into a more loving world for all people. May it be so.